Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Keegan here. I'm back with another video for you guys, and it's time for another movie review video once again. So, over the weekend, I went to the movies and I saw three new movies that came out. Well, ones that finally came out in my area, at least. So, let's talk about them. We're going to talk about them in order of the ones I watched first. So, yeah, let's do it. So the first film we're going to be talking about is The Brutalist. This is the new film from director Brady Corbett, who also directed The Childhood of a Leader and Vox Lux. I haven't seen those two movies, but I have seen Brady Corbett in in a movie that he acted in. Well, actually, it was the first movie he acted in, which was 13, a movie I talked about a couple years ago on my channel. That's a great movie. I've actually been looking forward to checking this movie out since I was hearing really good things about it when it was premiering at film festivals and was released in selected theaters. But then recently it just opened up in my area. I saw it in theaters on Friday and I really enjoyed it. And this is the film that won two awards at the Golden Globes. One for Best Actor, which was for Adrian Brody, and for Best Drama Film. Now, there's actually been a little bit of some controversy with this movie going on for the last 2 weeks or something, but we'll get to more on that a little bit later. So we'll talk about the story of this film pretty quickly, and then we'll get into my thoughts on it and go over a bit of the controversy. So let's take a dive into The Brutalist. So this film takes place between the late 1940s to the 1960s, and it follows a Jewish architect named Laszlo, who is played by Adrian Brody. So now this movie is told in like two or three parts or something with an epilogue, and the film starts off with Laszlo leaving Europe after the Second War ends and starts a new life in America, where he starts an architect company, where one day he meets a wealthy client who is willing to pay him to build a big monument, like a big church or something, for people to interact with and go to church and stuff, like build the biggest church in the town or something. And eventually he's separated from his wife for most of the film, but then later on in like the second half, his wife appears. She moves into America, and then it just follows their struggles trying to get this project finished and the conflicts in between. And I don't really want to give away too much, but that's basically what the story is about in a nutshell. I really enjoyed The Brutalist for what it was. I thought it was a really great movie, and holy shit, it was a very long movie too. It was 3 hours and 34 minutes, making it the longest movie I've ever seen in theaters so far as of me making this video. And there is also a 15-minute intermission around after the 90-minute mark in the movie, so it goes on for like 15 minutes. Although I think they should have cut down the intermission to less than 10 minutes. Like, I don't think the intermission really needed to be 15 minutes long, but that's just me at least. So I felt the intermission going on for 15 minutes was a little bit unnecessary. It could have been for 10 minutes, but I guess it was for 15 minutes for film screenings at festivals, but whatever, it's fine the way it is. I think they could have cut it down to 10 minutes or even 5, but that's just me at least. I really enjoyed the film overall. I liked the presentation of the film. It was well made, it was well acted, and Adrian Brody is fantastic in the film. Same thing with Felicity Jones, who also got nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars, I believe. And all in all, the set designs and all that looked really, really good, and this is genuinely a really well made film. Now, there's been a bit of some controversy going on the last 2 or 3 weeks since the Golden Globes. It was revealed, one of the editors for this movie revealed there was AI involved with the film. A very small use of AI. I believe it was used around the just before the intermission. There was a scene where Adrian Brody was writing a letter. Well, his character was writing a letter to his wife, and he was speaking in another language, in Hebrew. And I believe they might have used the AI for that, just to make the accent a little better, which is really stupid in my opinion. And I know this might be a bit of a controversial take, but I think the movie should have been disqualified from the Oscars, but it's not going to get disqualified. It's already been nominated for the awards, so there's nothing they can do about it. But that's just my opinion, at least. So, aside from the AI and the overall, and the a little bit too long of an intermission, I all in all thought this was a great film. And haven't I seen this movie before I did my top 10 favorite movies of 2024 video, I probably would have put this one on my list. But all in all, I thought it was a great film and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I recommend it. And I'm giving The Brutalist an 8.7 out of 10. The next film I watched was The Last Showgirl, the new film from director Gia Coppola, who happens to be the granddaughter of Francis Ford Coppola. I saw this one the day after I saw The Brutalist, and I thought it was pretty good. I didn't really have too much expectations for this one, so I just kind of went into this one knowing what the story was about and knowing it was the first film with Pamela Anderson in over a decade. So we'll get by this one pretty quickly, and then we'll move on to the next movie. So let's just get right on to it. In this film, you got a showgirl dancer named Shelley, played by Pamela Anderson, who is in her late 50s and has been a dancer for this show that's been going on for almost 40 years. But then one day she gets news that the show is closing down for good, and there's only 2 weeks left of the show before it shuts down forever. And she's trying to come to terms with her future and what she's going to do once the show closes its curtains forever. And she's trying to get back together with her daughter and all this other stuff. It's a pretty simple story. I'm sure you can guess where it goes from here. Now, I thought this movie was pretty good. I liked the lighting. I liked the some of the visuals. I thought it was pretty well made and had some pretty good acting too, and it had a good cast too. This movie also has Jamie Lee Curtis, Dave Bautista, and Kieran Shipka, who I was actually pretty surprised she was in this movie. Kieran Shipka, you might know her from the TV show Mad Men. She played Sally on that show when she was a lot younger. I'm kind of surprised she was in this movie. She was also in Longlegs too. Yeah. I thought this movie was pretty good. Although I think the movie could have been a little bit written better and the ending could have been a little bit better. Like, it just ends abruptly, and I feel the movie could have been a little bit longer than it was. The movie was only 89 minutes long, so I felt it could have been a little bit longer. But for what it's worth, I thought this movie was pretty good, and I'd probably watch it again, I guess. And I also thought Pamela Anderson did a pretty good job in this film too. But all in all, I thought this movie was pretty good. But I do have a bit of a side note about something that happened during this movie. Well, when I went to go see it. Around the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie, there was some lady yelling at some asshole who apparently took her spot and wouldn't stop talking. But she was yelling that everybody in the theater could hear her, like, "Lady, I understand your frustration dealing with people who are shitheads at the movie, but yelling isn't going to make it any better." Like, I mean, come on. But I do understand the frustration. I had to deal with people who are just assholes at the movies a couple times in the past. But other than that, I was worried it was going to escalate into a fight, but thankfully nothing happened after that. So that's a plus. Anyways, that's all I got to say about this movie. So I'm giving The Last Showgirl a 7.5 out of 10. And the last film we're going to be talking about is Nickel Boys, which is the new film from director Ramel Ross, who is a director I'm not really too familiar with. I saw this film yesterday, and I saw it pretty blindly. I didn't have much of a clue of what this movie was about. other than it's an adaptation of a Pulitzer Prize book, which I've never read, but maybe I'll read someday. I went into this movie pretty blindly, and I'm actually kind of glad I did. I thought this film was pretty great, and it's got some interesting stuff about it that I will cover here shortly. But I'll quickly go through the story of the film, and then we'll get into my thoughts on it. So let's get into it. Now, this film is set in the 1960s, and it follows a young African American boy named Elwood, who, on his way to a school in Florida, where he's falsely accused of committing a crime, and is sent to this reform school where he meets another boy named Turner, and together the two try to survive the corruption of this school, this reform school that's notorious for its mistreatment of its students. And without giving away too much, that's basically what the story is about in a nutshell. I really enjoyed this film. I thought this was a really good film, and it was a bit of a hard one to watch considering the film's subject matter. What I really like about the film is the way the film is presented. Like, it's told in the perspective of the two characters. Like, it takes turns between, like it's basically like their eyes. Like, the whole film is like their eyesight. Like, you see through the eyes of our characters, and I just thought that it was really unique. And then there's like some flash forwards into the future where it's like in the 80s or something, and it shows like a third person kind of perspective, which was actually pretty unique. I really like how that was presented. I thought it was really interesting. But I thought the film was well acted. It was well written, and everyone in the cast did a great job, whether they were playing the good guys or the bad guys, like the school officials, like everyone in this film did a great job with their performances. And all in all, I thought it was a really good film. And haven't I seen this one before I did my top 10 favorite movies of 2024 video, I probably would have put this one on my list. But all in all, it was a great film. I highly recommend it, and I might give it a watch again in the future. And it was definitely something interesting, to say the least. Like, the way the film was presented was probably the best thing about this whole film, I'd say, period. But all in all, great film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I'm giving Nickel Boys an 8 out of 10. Alright, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. And more movie review videos will be coming out soon, so stay tuned for more. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.